The name of this story is called Mistaken Identities and Mindless Moves by Traffic Tales. And this first little traffic tale is at the time, this is in the 1980s sometime. And I believe I was working in Midland, Texas. And I was driving a two-tone blue Ram Charger at the time. And I was driving back from Midland going to Odessa. And on the way home on the highway, I got stopped by, I believe it was a sheriff's car. So I had, of course, you pull up to the side of the road and you just sit there and wait for him to come to your door. You know, every time you ever get stopped, I don't do anything. Don't do anything sudden. Just sit there and wait for him. You know, don't make, don't do crazy things, right? Anyway, so this sheriff deputy, I believe, he come up to my window, but he didn't stand at my window. He stood just kind of behind the window to where I couldn't see him, but he could talk to me. Of course, he asked for my driver's license, and I give it to him and stuff, and he checks me out, and then he tells me the reason why he stopped me is they were on the lookout for someone who had murdered someone, and the description of the vehicle and the description of the driver matched my vehicle and matched me. So that's why he stopped me. And you think about it, this sheriff coming up to my car thinks he may have stopped a possible killer. And no wonder he was standing back to where I really couldn't see him. He was not taking any chances. He's taking precaution not to be, if I had a gun or something, not to be in the line of fire. So it just kind of shows you, you know, you may think you're driving everything, you're within the speed limits, not doing anything crazy, you can still get stopped for any kind of reason. And, and what if I was, you see these people who get stopped and they jump out of their car and all this kind of stuff. Can you imagine if you was doing that with this cop in the mindset he's trying to, I could be the killer, and what do you think he's going to do? This is a good example of what not to do. Well, I did everything right, but it's an example. If you go crazy and do stupid stuff when you get stopped by a sheriff or a cop, don't do crazy things. Definitely run into trouble really quick. This next story, I was driving from Schertz up to Marble Falls, Texas. And as I was driving, there's a highway patrol off on the side of the road. I'm like, okay. So whenever you see a highway patrol, I passed him and I'm looking in my rearview mirror, watching him to see if he's going to follow me or whatever. I'm not doing anything wrong, but I guess these thoughts just pop in your head whenever the law is around, right? So I'm watching and I finally get so far away from the highway patrol, he's out of sight. So I'm thinking, I'm free and clear. I'm free and clear of this guy. So I'm driving along, and lo and behold, what happens? the highway patrol did come after me and did stop me. So here I am again on the highway, stopped by a cop, the highway patrol, Texas Highway Patrol, in fact. And guess what he stopped me for? I don't even think this was even possible to get stopped for this. I got stopped for going too slow. I didn't think that was the thing. But it is. You can drive too slow and you'll get stopped by a cop. So don't drive too fast. Don't drive too slow. Just drive just right, right? Like, well, you could call that the Goldilocks zone. Don't go fast, don't go too slow, just right. So the next story I have is a little bit kind of wild and crazy story, and I don't even know why I did this. Perhaps I was distracted by something going on, I was distracted by something what I was thinking about in my head or something, and I didn't realize what was going on in my surroundings. I really don't know why I did this. But anyway, I'd stopped at a red light at the intersection of 31st Street, I believe it was West 31st Street, and Andrews Highway there in Odessa. Now, it's not a through street. Right in front of me is stores, so all I could do is go right or go left. I couldn't go straight. So I'm sitting at the red light. For some reason, I have no idea why, I had decided to go, not turn left. Now, I don't know if I think I was sitting at a stop sign, is all ready to go. If I was sitting at a stop sign, there was traffic coming, and I shouldn't have pulled out in front, but I did. Of course, got all of these cars honking at you and trying to avoid you and all this good stuff going on. And I wasn't drinking either. I didn't really, don't drink and drive. Never really did that anyway. But guess who else was in that crowd of cars that trying to avoid me? Another sheriff deputy vehicle. And guess what? He stopped me. Had good reason to. I did a really stupid thing. Just pulled out in the middle of traffic for ungodly reasons. I have no idea. Still to this day, I can't figure out why I did what I did. Definitely was not thinking about what was on the road. Anyway, I was in my red Camaro at the time. And this time I had to get out of my car. And I imagine this deputy was thinking, this guy must be drinking, which I wasn't, but that's probably what was in his head. And I can't remember, I know he questioned me and stuff, and he finally let me go. But I'm pretty sure he probably thought I was drinking, but I guess after questioning me, he discovered that I was, even though I did an insane thing, I seemed to be sane enough to let me continue on. So, you know how it is. I remember many times, you're driving along and you're driving on the road and there's a traffic lights, all these different intersections. I remember driving one day. I remember driving. I went like 3 or 4 intersections, and I think I don't even remember going through those intersections. Like you're so automatic on what you're doing. Sometimes you just automatically do these things. You don't even really think about them. I just toy around with the idea of why I did what I did. To this day, I really can't pin down why I did that. Anyway, the last little story about this occurred in the early 1970s. Once again, my red Camaro, 3-speed in the floor. It was a wonderful car. Anyway, I was in a parking lot. Probably, I can't even remember which parking lot, but I think it's on the north side of Odessa, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, you got a race kind of sporty car, and I was in the parking lot. I started peeling out, Lo and behold, guess who was in the parking lot with me? Policeman in his car got stopped. And here's another little story of things that can get you a ticket I didn't think you could get. I got a ticket for spinning tires on the highway. You peel out, but you can get a ticket for that. I got one. You wouldn't think you'd get one. I got one. Anyway, that's the last of my traffic tales. And that's the end of this story.